King Kong. Creation. Debut film, King Kong, 1933, directed by Merian C. Cooper and Ernest B. Schoedsack. Concept. The idea for King Kong came from Merian C. Cooper's fascination with gorillas and adventure stories. He imagined a giant ape battling dinosaurs on a mysterious island. Special effects. Willis O'Brien, a pioneer of stop-motion animation, brought Kong to life with groundbreaking effects. Plot. The original movie tells the story of a filmmaker who discovers a colossal ape on Skull Island, captures it, and brings it to New York City, where it wreaks havoc before tragically falling from the Empire State Building. Cultural significance. Icon of monster cinema, King Kong is one of the earliest examples of the giant monster movie genre. The character's mixture of brute strength and emotional depth captured audiences' imaginations. Symbolism. The story can be interpreted as a cautionary tale about humanity's exploitation of nature and the clash between modernity and the natural world. American pop culture. King Kong became a symbol of American cinema's innovation during the Great Depression. Subsequent adaptations and sequels, such as King Kong vs. Godzilla, 1962, and Kong, Skull Island, 2017, have solidified his place in global popular culture. Universal themes. Themes of love, tragedy, and humanity's relationship with nature have kept King Kong relevant across generations. Godzilla. History and creation. Debut film, Gojira, 1954, directed by Ishiro Honda and produced by Toho Studios in Japan. Inspiration. Godzilla was created as a metaphor for the devastation caused by nuclear weapons, particularly the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the Lucky Dragon No. 5 incident, a Japanese fishing boat irradiated by U.S. hydrogen bomb testing in 1954. Design. Godzilla was inspired by dinosaurs and traditional Japanese kaiju, giant monster, mythology. The creature was portrayed by an actor in a suitmation, a technique that became a hallmark of Japanese monster films. Evolution. 1950s, 1970s, anti-nuclear symbol. The original Gojira is a somber and serious critique of nuclear weapons. Over time, however, Godzilla evolved into a more heroic figure, defending Earth from other monsters like King Ghidorah and Mechagodzilla. 1980s, 1990s, Return to Darkness. The Heisei era, 1984 to 1995, saw a return to Godzilla's destructive, anti-heroic roots, with an emphasis on updated special effects and darker narratives. 2000s present, global icon. Godzilla became a global phenomenon, with Hollywood adaptations like Godzilla, 2014, and the MonsterVerse films, e.g., Godzilla, King of the Monsters in 2019. These films introduced Godzilla to new audiences worldwide. Cultural significance. Symbol of nuclear anxiety. In its earliest form, Godzilla represented the fears and trauma of a nation grappling with nuclear destruction. Environmental commentary. Over time, Godzilla also became a symbol of nature's power and resilience, often battling threats that represent environmental degradation and human hubris. Kaiju genre pioneer. Godzilla popularized the kaiju genre, inspiring countless imitators and a sprawling cinematic universe of monsters. Cross-cultural impact. Godzilla's legacy transcends Japan, becoming a beloved character in Western and global cinema. The monster embodies universal themes of survival, destruction, and redemption. Both King Kong and Godzilla are more than just giant monsters, they are cultural icons that reflect the anxieties, hopes, and imaginations of their respective eras. They've crossed paths multiple times, such as in King Kong vs. Godzilla, 1962, and the modern Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, cementing their status as titans of cinematic history. Physical attributes and strengths. King Kong. Species, giant gorilla or ape-like creature, often referred to as a primate titan. Size, varies depending on the film, ranging from 25 feet, 1933 original, to over 300 feet in the MonsterVerse films, Kong, Skull Island and Godzilla vs. Kong. Strength. Exceptional physical strength, capable of lifting or hurling massive objects. Known for incredible agility and dexterity, allowing him to climb skyscrapers or navigate rugged terrain. Combat skills. Skilled in hand-to-hand combat with a primate style of fighting, using punches, grappling, and environmental tools like rocks, trees, or weapons. Strategic and adaptable, often outsmarting opponents in battle. Godzilla. Species: giant prehistoric reptilian kaiju, often described as a mix of a dinosaur, lizard, and dragon. Size: Godzilla's height varies, but in modern iterations, he's typically over 350 feet tall. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, 2019. Strength: immense physical power, capable of toppling skyscrapers, overpowering monsters, and breaking through human-made defenses. Durable, with a nearly impenetrable hide that withstands conventional weapons and attacks from other kaiju. Combat skills: relies on raw strength and tail swipes. Possesses a commanding, intimidating presence, often overwhelming enemies with sheer force. 2. Abilities and special powers. King Kong. Enhanced intelligence. Kong is highly intelligent for a kaiju, capable of understanding human intentions, using tools, and executing clever combat strategies. Agility. Unlike Godzilla, Kong is highly agile, capable of leaping great distances and dodging attacks with quick reflexes. Tool usage. Kong can wield objects as weapons, such as tree trunks, rocks, or improvised clubs, e.g., the battle axe in Godzilla vs. Kong made from a Godzilla dorsal fin. Bond with humans. Kong often forms emotional connections with humans, which can motivate him in battle. Godzilla. Atomic breath. Godzilla's most iconic ability, capable of unleashing a concentrated beam of radioactive energy that can incinerate enemies and destroy structures. Nuclear pulse. In certain films, Godzilla emits a shockwave of nuclear energy from his body, devastating nearby foes. Amphibious nature. Godzilla can breathe underwater and move effortlessly through the ocean, giving him an advantage in aquatic environments. Regeneration. Godzilla's biology allows him to recover from injuries at an accelerated rate, making him incredibly resilient in prolonged battles. Energy absorption. In some versions, Godzilla can absorb nuclear energy or other power sources, amplifying his abilities. 3. Weaknesses and vulnerabilities. King Kong. Relatively mortal. Despite his immense size and strength, Kong is still vulnerable to conventional weapons like bullets and explosives. Limited defense. Kong lacks the thick, impenetrable hide of Godzilla, making him more susceptible to injuries. Size disadvantage. In many versions, Kong's smaller stature compared to Godzilla or other kaiju can be a disadvantage, especially in direct physical confrontations. Emotional vulnerability. Kong's bond with humans can sometimes distract or compromise him during battles. Godzilla. Slow and less agile. Godzilla's massive size makes him less mobile and unable to maneuver quickly like Kong, leaving him vulnerable to faster opponents. Over-reliance on atomic powers. If Godzilla's atomic energy reserves are depleted, as seen in some films, his combat effectiveness significantly decreases. Intelligence. While intelligent for a kaiju, Godzilla lacks the advanced problem-solving abilities of Kong. Specific weaknesses in certain films. In some iterations, Godzilla is vulnerable to specific technologies, such as the oxygen destroyer, Gojira, 1954, or advanced kaiju like Mechagodzilla. Summary. Attribute King Kong Godzilla. Physical strength high, agility plus combat skill, extremely high, brute power. Durability moderate exceptional, near invulnerable hide. Powers tool usage, intelligence, agility atomic breath, regeneration, amphibious. Weaknesses fragile compared to kaiju, emotional less agile, dependent on energy reserves. Key difference. King Kong relies on his intelligence, agility, and adaptability, often turning the environment into a weapon, while Godzilla is a brute force of nature, with unmatched durability and devastating atomic powers. Both are uniquely formidable, making their battles epic and unpredictable. Plot summary and key moments. Plot summary. The movie serves as part of Legendary Pictures' MonsterVerse and follows the long-anticipated clash between two of cinema's most iconic titans, King Kong and Godzilla. Opening setup. King Kong resides on Skull Island, which is now enclosed within a human-made containment dome to monitor and protect him. Scientists, led by Dr. Eileen Andrews, fear that exposing Kong to the outside world might provoke Godzilla. Meanwhile, Godzilla begins attacking human facilities operated by Apex Cybernetics, seemingly unprovoked, raising concerns about why the usually peaceful Titan is behaving aggressively. Journey to the Hollow Earth. Apex enlists Nathan Lind, an expert in the Hollow Earth theory, to guide Kong into the subterranean world to find a power source capable of defeating Godzilla. They believe Kong's ancestors originated from the Hollow Earth and that he can lead them there. Kong, transported across the ocean on a massive barge, encounters Godzilla, leading to their first battle. Godzilla, in his natural element, water, overwhelms Kong and forces the humans to retreat. Discovery of Kong's ancestry. In the Hollow Earth, Kong discovers an ancient throne room belonging to his species, along with a battle axe made from a Godzilla dorsal fin, which can absorb and harness energy. This weapon is critical for the upcoming battles. Godzilla vs. Kong battles. The second major clash occurs in Hong Kong, where Godzilla and Kong engage in a brutal fight. Kong puts up a strong fight, using agility and intelligence, but Godzilla ultimately overpowers him, leaving Kong severely wounded. Mechagodzilla's entrance. Apex Cybernetics unveils Mechagodzilla, a weaponized robotic replica of Godzilla, built to replace him as humanity's protector. However, Mechagodzilla becomes sentient after being powered by energy from the Hollow Earth and turns against humanity. Godzilla and Kong join forces to defeat the rogue Mechagodzilla in a climactic battle, with Kong delivering the final blow using his axe. Ending. Godzilla acknowledges Kong as an equal before returning to the ocean. Kong returns to the Hollow Earth, where he establishes himself as its ruler, signaling peace between the two titans. 2. Themes explored in the movie. Power and leadership. The movie explores what it means to be an alpha predator. Both Kong and Godzilla represent natural forces, and their clash symbolizes a fight for dominance. Human exploitation versus harmony with nature. Apex Cybernetics represents humanity's hubris in trying to control nature, via Mechagodzilla. The consequences of this arrogance highlight the dangers of technological overreach. Legacy and connection to the past. Kong's journey to the Hollow Earth is deeply tied to his ancestral roots. His discovery of the throne room and axe showcases themes of legacy, identity, and reclaiming one's place in the natural order. Cooperation versus competition. Although Godzilla and Kong are initially adversaries, the movie ultimately demonstrates the value of cooperation when they unite to defeat Mechagodzilla. Survival and resilience. Both titans demonstrate immense resilience and adaptability, underscoring their roles as apex predators who endure despite humanity's interference. 3. Differences from previous depictions of the characters. King Kong. Larger size. In the MonsterVerse, Kong is significantly larger than in previous versions, standing nearly 350 feet tall to match Godzilla's stature. Intelligence and tool use. Kong's use of the battle axe and strategic fighting style highlight his intelligence more prominently than earlier depictions. Hollow Earth origin. This film introduces the idea that Kong's ancestors originated from the Hollow Earth, giving him a deeper mythological backstory. Godzilla. Anti-hero role. Unlike the protector role in Godzilla, King of the Monsters, 2019, this version of Godzilla appears more aggressive, creating initial ambiguity about his motives. Rivalry with humans. Godzilla's attacks on Apex facilities showcase a direct response to human meddling, contrasting with previous portrayals where his focus was solely on other kaiju. Relationship between Kong and Godzilla. Previous depictions. In King Kong vs. Godzilla, 1962, the rivalry was more campy, with a lighter tone and limited narrative depth. Modern depiction. The 2021 film offers a more grounded and emotional take, emphasizing the Titans' unique traits and motivations. It portrays their rivalry as a natural clash of alpha predators rather than a simple fight. Mechagodzilla. The introduction of Mechagodzilla as a major antagonist is unique to this film, adding an external threat that forces Godzilla and Kong to join forces, rather than having one be the clear victor. Conclusion. The 2021 King Kong vs. Godzilla balances thrilling action sequences with deeper character development for the titular Titans. It explores themes of power, survival, and humanity's relationship with nature, while redefining Kong and Godzilla for modern audiences. The film stands out for its emotional depth, awe-inspiring visuals, and its ability to honor the legacy of these iconic monsters while adapting them for a new era. The clash between King Kong and Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, serves as a powerful narrative vehicle for exploring a variety of symbolic and thematic elements. Here's a deeper analysis of the symbolism and themes surrounding their conflict. 1. Representation of nature versus technology. Godzilla and Kong as forces of nature. Both Godzilla and King Kong symbolize the raw power of nature, unbound and untamed. Their epic battle represents the struggle for dominance within the natural world, with each embodying different aspects of it. Godzilla, a destructive force of nature, like earthquakes or tsunamis, representing the primordial and uncontrollable aspects of the earth. King Kong, a more relatable and intelligent side of nature, showcasing adaptability, ingenuity, and connection to life forms. Mechagodzilla as technology and human hubris. Mechagodzilla stands as a metaphor for humanity's technological overreach. Created by humans to replace Godzilla as a protector, the machine becomes a destructive force once it gains sentience, symbolizing how technology, when unchecked, can turn against its creators. The battle between the natural titans and Mechagodzilla underscores the idea that no matter how advanced technology becomes, it will never fully replicate or dominate the power of nature. 2. Allegories of human intervention and environmental destruction. Godzilla's role as a warning. Godzilla's attacks on Apex cybernetics are symbolic of nature striking back against humanity for its reckless interference. Apex's experiments with creating Mechagodzilla and harnessing energy from the Hollow Earth reflect real-world parallels to humanity's exploitation of natural resources and disregard for environmental consequences. The destruction caused by Godzilla can be seen as an allegory for the consequences of climate change, pollution, and other environmental crises that result from human greed and ignorance. The Hollow Earth as a lost Eden. The Hollow Earth, with its lush landscapes and ancient secrets, represents a pristine, untouched version of nature, a kind of Garden of Eden. Humanity's intrusion into this space for the purpose of extracting its power source mirrors real-world exploitation of untouched ecosystems, e.g., deforestation, deep-sea drilling, and mining. Kong's connection to the Hollow Earth highlights the importance of respecting and protecting these environments rather than exploiting them for short-term gain. Mechagodzilla and environmental costs. Mechagodzilla's creation relies on energy stolen from the Hollow Earth, emphasizing how human actions often disrupt natural systems in pursuit of technological advancement. This highlights the theme that tampering with nature for power often has catastrophic consequences. 3. The role of humanity in the conflict. Humans as instigators. Much of the conflict in Godzilla vs. Kong is instigated by humans. Apex Cybernetics' desire to dominate nature by creating Mechagodzilla and their manipulation of Kong to locate the Hollow Earth power source show how human actions provoke chaos in the natural order. The rivalry between Godzilla and Kong is less about their personal vendettas and more a consequence of human interference, emphasizing humanity's tendency to disrupt the balance of nature. Humanity's divide. The film portrays two approaches to humanity's interaction with nature. Exploitative, represented by Apex Cybernetics, who see nature as a resource to be controlled and consumed. Harmonious, represented by Eileen Andrews, Jo, and others who seek to coexist with and understand the Titans. Jo's bond with Kong exemplifies the potential for mutual respect between humans and nature. Kong as humanity's connection to nature. Kong's bond with Jo, the deaf orphan girl who communicates with him through sign language, symbolizes the possibility of a symbiotic relationship between humans and nature. Unlike Godzilla, who is distant and untouchable, Kong is relatable and shows how humanity can coexist with the natural world if it respects its boundaries. Jo's empathy for Kong stands in stark contrast to Apex's cold, calculating manipulation of the Titans, reinforcing the idea that humanity's survival depends on understanding and working with nature rather than against it. 4. Broader symbolism in the clash. Alpha predators and balance. The battle between Kong and Godzilla symbolizes the natural order re-establishing itself. Both titans fight to prove their dominance, not out of malice, but as a natural instinct to maintain balance. When Mechagodzilla enters the picture, the two titans unite, demonstrating that nature will prioritize restoring balance when threatened by an unnatural force. Godzilla's role as nature's fury. Godzilla's actions can be interpreted as the Earth itself lashing out against those who threaten its balance. This reflects themes seen in previous Godzilla films, where he represents nuclear power, environmental disasters, or the wrath of the planet. Kong as the protector. While Godzilla represents destruction and retaliation, Kong is portrayed as a more protective figure. His role as the Hollow Earth's ruler symbolizes stewardship over the natural world, further emphasizing the contrast between destructive exploitation and harmonious coexistence. Conclusion. The clash between King Kong and Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Kong is more than just an epic monster battle, it is rich with symbolism and themes that address humanity's relationship with nature. The film critiques technological arrogance, highlights the importance of respecting the environment, and explores how humanity's intervention often leads to chaos. Ultimately, it underscores the need for balance, cooperation, and a deeper understanding of the natural world. Cinematic production and visual effects in King Kong vs. Godzilla. The creation of Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, involved cutting-edge visual effects and advanced cinematic techniques to bring these legendary monsters to life in a way that resonated with modern audiences. Here's an exploration of the techniques used, the evolution of effects, and the iconic fight scenes. 1. Techniques used to create the monsters. King Kong. Motion capture. Kong's movements were created using motion capture, mocap, technology, with actors portraying Kong's movements and emotions. Terry Notary, a renowned mocap artist, provided Kong's physical performance, focusing on realistic, primate-like body language while infusing emotional depth, such as moments of vulnerability and connection with Jaw. Facial animation. The animators used detailed facial motion capture to portray Kong's expressions, emphasizing his intelligence and emotional complexity. This allowed Kong to feel relatable and expressive, especially during his interactions with humans. Realistic fur simulation. Kong's fur was rendered with incredible detail, simulating how it interacts with wind, water, and light. Special care was taken to show matted fur during fights and wet textures after his ocean battle with Godzilla. Godzilla. CGI design. Godzilla's design built upon his appearances in earlier MonsterVerse films, Godzilla 2014 and Godzilla, King of the Monsters 2019. Animators enhanced his massive, reptilian body with textures that resemble tough, scarred skin, making him appear ancient and indestructible. Atomic breath effects. Godzilla's iconic atomic breath was realized through a combination of particle simulations and lighting effects. Animators created a glowing, build-up effect in his dorsal fins, intensifying the anticipation of his attacks. Water and environmental interaction. Godzilla's movements in water required advanced fluid simulations to show how his massive body displaces waves. This was especially challenging in the ocean battle sequence. 2. Comparison of CGI and practical effects in earlier versus newer movies. Earlier movies, 1950s, 1980s. Suitmation. In earlier films like King Kong vs. Godzilla, 1962, monsters were portrayed by actors in rubber suits, a technique known as suitmation. Godzilla's actor would perform in a bulky suit while miniature sets of cities and landscapes were constructed for him to destroy. Kong's appearance in the 1962 film was less sophisticated, with a static, unnatural face and limited articulation compared to modern iterations. Miniature sets and stop motion. Practical effects included the use of detailed miniatures for buildings, vehicles, and environments, which were destroyed in real time during filming. Earlier King Kong films, e.g., King Kong 1933, relied heavily on stop-motion animation for Kong's movements, a groundbreaking technique at the time. Modern movies, 2010s, 2020s. Advanced CGI. The MonsterVerse films, Godzilla 2014, Kong, Skull Island 2017, Godzilla vs. Kong 2021, rely almost entirely on CGI, enabling far greater detail and realism. The animators use performance capture and advanced rendering engines to create monsters that interact seamlessly with their environments. Lighting and physics simulations. Modern CGI allows for realistic physics and lighting, such as debris scattering during battles, the glow of Godzilla's atomic breath reflecting off surfaces, and Kong's fur interacting with wind and water. Immersion and scale. CGI enables the filmmakers to showcase the sheer scale of the monsters in ways that were not possible with miniatures or practical effects. Modern movies can show dynamic camera angles, such as wide shots of city destruction or close-ups of Kong's expressive face. 3. Iconic fight scenes and their choreography. Key fight scenes from Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021. Ocean battle. Description: this fight takes place on the high seas as Kong is being transported on a massive barge. Godzilla, sensing Kong as a rival, attacks. The scene features Kong jumping from one ship to another, attempting to avoid Godzilla's underwater ambushes. Visual highlights. Dynamic underwater shots of Godzilla circling Kong. The dramatic moment when Godzilla flips the barge, forcing Kong to break free from his chains. Firepower versus raw strength. Godzilla's atomic breath clashes with Kong's brute strength and agility. Symbolism. The fight highlights Godzilla's dominance in water while showcasing Kong's vulnerability and resilience. Hong Kong battle. Description: the second fight occurs in Hong Kong, with neon-lit skyscrapers providing a stunning backdrop. Kong, armed with his battle axe, faces off against Godzilla in a fast-paced, brutal showdown. Choreography. Kong uses his agility to dodge Godzilla's attacks, leaping between buildings and landing powerful blows. Godzilla counters with devastating tail swipes, atomic breath, and sheer physical strength. The fight culminates in a definitive moment where Godzilla overpowers Kong, leaving him injured but alive. Visual highlights. The glowing neon lights reflect off both monsters, creating a visually striking battlefield. The destruction of buildings adds a sense of scale and intensity to the combat. Battle against Mechagodzilla. Description: after being weakened by their fight, Kong and Godzilla unite to take on the newly unleashed Mechagodzilla. Kong wields his battle axe, while Godzilla uses his atomic breath to charge the weapon. Choreography. Mechagodzilla's precision and advanced weaponry pose a significant threat, showcasing humanity's arrogance in creating such a destructive force. Kong and Godzilla's teamwork highlights their complementary strengths, Kong's agility and weapon skills versus Godzilla's raw power and atomic energy. The battle ends with Kong delivering the final blow, symbolizing his rise as a worthy equal to Godzilla. Cinematic innovations in fight choreography. Realistic movements. The animators studied animal behavior to make the movements of Kong, like a gorilla, and Godzilla, like a reptile, feel natural yet larger than life. Dynamic camera angles. The fights are shot from both the human perspective, emphasizing the monster's colossal size, and from the Titan's level, giving viewers an immersive experience. Environmental interaction. Battles use the environment creatively, buildings crumble, ships are destroyed, and terrain shifts under the weight of the Titans. This enhances the realism and stakes of the fights. Conclusion. The evolution of visual effects from practical suitmation and miniatures to advanced CGI has revolutionized how King Kong and Godzilla are portrayed on screen. Godzilla vs. Kong showcases these advancements with highly detailed character designs, realistic environments, and iconic fight scenes choreographed with stunning precision. The movie's visual effects not only immerse viewers in the epic scale of the battles but also bring emotional depth and personality to the legendary Titans. Here's an overview of fan theories, speculations, and alternate interpretations about the epic clash in Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, highlighting possible outcomes, alternate endings, and fan-driven analyses. 1. Possible outcomes of the battle. Fans speculated on various scenarios leading up to the release of Godzilla vs. Kong, given the iconic status of both Titans and the ambiguity of who would win. Some popular theories included a clear winner, Godzilla or Kong. Many fans believed the movie would definitively crown one Titan as the alpha. Pro-Godzilla theories. Fans cited Godzilla's overwhelming power, durability, and atomic breath, predicting he would win as the king of the monsters. Pro-Kong theories. Supporters of Kong argued that his intelligence, agility, and tool use, such as the battle axe, would give him an edge over Godzilla's brute strength. Mutual destruction. A significant portion of fans speculated that the battle would end with both titans incapacitated or destroyed, leaving the world without either alpha. This theory reflected themes of balance and the destructive consequences of unchecked power. A team-up against a common enemy. This was the most widespread theory and ultimately came true in the film. Many predicted that Kong and Godzilla would initially fight but later unite against a shared threat, such as Mechagodzilla, which symbolizes humanity's hubris and serves as a greater threat than either titan alone. 2. Alternate endings and interpretations. While the movie delivered a definitive winner in their duel, Godzilla overpowers Kong, many fans have imagined alternate endings or expanded interpretations of the film. Alternate endings. Kong defeats Godzilla. In an alternate scenario, Kong uses his battle axe more effectively and overcomes Godzilla, claiming the title of Alpha Titan. Some fans feel this would have been a satisfying outcome, as it cements Kong as a defender of humanity and a more relatable protagonist. Kong and Godzilla merge territories. Instead of retreating to the Hollow Earth, Kong and Godzilla could have coexisted, splitting their domains between land, Kong, and sea, Godzilla, symbolizing a balance between two forces of nature. Mechagodzilla prevails. An unexpected dark ending could see Mechagodzilla defeating both titans, showcasing the triumph of humanity's technological arrogance and setting up a sequel where humanity faces the consequences of their actions. Tragic sacrifice. Either Godzilla or Kong sacrifices themselves to save the other from Mechagodzilla, reinforcing themes of mutual respect and cooperation. Interpretations of the ending. Symbolism of Kong's retreat. Some interpret Kong's decision to return to the Hollow Earth as symbolic of humanity's need to respect nature's boundaries. By taking his rightful place as the ruler of the Hollow Earth, Kong reclaims his legacy and allows balance to be restored. Godzilla's acknowledgement of Kong. Godzilla sparing Kong is seen as an acknowledgement of Kong as an equal rather than a rival. This reflects themes of mutual respect among powerful forces and the idea that dominance doesn't always mean destruction. Open-ended power dynamics. While the film leans toward Godzilla as the more powerful titan, fans argue that Kong's intelligence and adaptability position him as a contender for future battles. 3. Fan-made analyses and predictions. Fans have delved deep into analyzing the story, themes, and future implications of Godzilla vs. Kong. Here are some notable theories and predictions. The Hollow Earth as a new setting. Many fans speculate that the Hollow Earth will play a significant role in future MonsterVerse films, with Kong as its protector. Some theorize that other undiscovered titans or ancient enemies of Kong's species could emerge from the Hollow Earth, leading to a sequel centered on Kong defending his territory. Others suggest that the Hollow Earth could contain further remnants of Godzilla's species or advanced technologies. Godzilla's role as nature's fury. Fans theorize that Godzilla will continue to act as a force of balance in the MonsterVerse, stepping in only when humanity's actions threaten the planet. This aligns with his portrayal as a neutral figure who doesn't actively seek destruction but retaliates when provoked. Kong's battle axe origin. Some fans speculate that Kong's battle axe, made from a Godzilla dorsal fin, hints at an ancient rivalry between their species. This could be explored further in prequel stories or future films. A common theory suggests that the axe was crafted during a prehistoric war between Kong's ancestors and Godzilla's species, explaining their inherent rivalry. Mechagodzilla's future. Although Mechagodzilla was destroyed in the film, fans speculate that remnants of the technology could resurface in future movies. Some predict the return of a stronger, more advanced Mechagodzilla or the introduction of other robotic kaiju, such as Mecha King Ghidorah. Humanity's role in the MonsterVerse. The growing presence of human-made titans like Mechagodzilla has led fans to theorize that the MonsterVerse will increasingly explore humanity's attempts to control nature through technology. Apex Cybernetics or similar organizations could return with even more dangerous experiments, forcing Godzilla and Kong to defend the natural order. Popular fan predictions for future films. King Kong and Godzilla team up again. A future film could feature the titans teaming up against an even greater threat, such as a cosmic Kaiju, e.g., Space Godzilla or Destroyer. A Hollow Earth civil war. The discovery of other titans in the Hollow Earth could lead to internal conflict, with Kong defending his territory against a new enemy. Crossover events. Some fans dream of crossover events between the MonsterVerse and other franchises, such as Pacific Rim, where Kaiju and Jaegers could face off against Kong and Godzilla. Kong's evolution. Predictions include Kong further evolving, possibly growing larger or developing new tools and techniques to defend the Hollow Earth. This could position him as the dominant titan in his domain. Fan debate. Who is the true alpha? The debate over who won in Godzilla vs. Kong continues to fuel fan discussions. Pro-Godzilla fans highlight that Godzilla decisively defeated Kong in their final battle, cementing his status as the king of the monsters. Pro-Kong fans argue that Kong's intelligence and adaptability allowed him to deliver the killing blow to Mechagodzilla, proving his worth as an equal. Conclusion. Godzilla vs. Kong has sparked endless fan theories, speculations, and creative interpretations, reflecting the passion of its audience. Whether debating alternate endings, exploring hidden meanings, or predicting the future of the MonsterVerse, fans have embraced the film as a rich and engaging entry in the Kaiju genre. The dynamic between nature, humanity, and technology remains at the core of these discussions, ensuring that the legacy of Kong and Godzilla continues to grow. Legacy of the King Kong vs. Godzilla franchise. The King Kong vs. Godzilla franchise has left an indelible mark on popular culture, evolving from campy monster clashes to epic, blockbuster events. Here's a look at its cultural impact, associated merchandise and spin-offs, and the potential for future crossovers in the MonsterVerse and beyond. 1. Impact on popular culture. Establishing the crossover concept. The original King Kong vs. Godzilla, 1962, was one of the earliest cinematic crossovers, pitting two iconic monsters from different mythologies against each other. It established the viability of cross-franchise clashes, paving the way for similar films, e.g., Freddy vs. Jason or the Marvel Cinematic Universe crossovers. Influence on the monster genre. The franchise popularized the concept of Kaiju vs. Kaiju battles, setting the standard for future monster films. Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, elevated the genre by combining stunning visual effects with more developed character arcs for the monsters, proving that Kaiju films can succeed as both action spectacles and emotional stories. Global recognition. Godzilla and Kong are international icons, with the franchise bridging Japanese and Western cinematic traditions. The MonsterVerse films, Godzilla, Kong, Skull Island, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and Godzilla vs. Kong, have further cemented the global popularity of these characters, resonating with audiences across generations. Themes of nature and power. The franchise has consistently explored themes of nature's power, humanity's hubris, and the consequences of interfering with the natural world, making it culturally and thematically relevant for decades. 2. Merchandise and spin-offs. Merchandise. Toys and collectibles. Action figures, statues, and models of King Kong, Godzilla, and Mechagodzilla are highly sought after by collectors. Companies like NECA, SH Monster Arts, and Funko Pop have produced detailed renditions of the characters. Video games. Multiple video games have been inspired by the franchise, including Godzilla, Destroy All Monsters Melee and Godzilla Defense Force. While many focus on Godzilla, Godzilla vs. Kong brought renewed interest in games featuring both titans. Apparel and accessories. The franchise has inspired clothing lines, posters, and even collaborations with major brands, such as limited edition sneakers and artwork. Books and comics. Tie-in comics like Kingdom Kong and Godzilla, Dominion expand the lore of the MonsterVerse, delving deeper into the stories of the titans. Spin-off media. Television series. The upcoming Apple TV Plus MonsterVerse series, set after the events of Godzilla vs. Kong, promises to expand the franchise, focusing on the aftermath of Godzilla's battles and humanity's understanding of titans. Expanded MonsterVerse films. The success of Godzilla vs. Kong has led to the announcement of a sequel, Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire, slated for release in 2024, suggesting further exploration of the Hollow Earth and new Kaiju threats. Anime and animation. Godzilla has starred in anime like Godzilla, Singular Point and Godzilla, Planet of the Monsters, while fans speculate about future animated content involving both Godzilla and Kong. 3. Future possibilities for crossovers. Expanding the Monsterverse. Legendary Pictures' Monsterverse has already established a rich universe, and future films could explore new conflicts, alliances, and threats involving both Kong and Godzilla. Potential storylines include Hollow Earth conflicts, Kong defending his territory against ancient enemies or discovering new kaiju species in the Hollow Earth. Cosmic threats, the introduction of space-based monsters like Space Godzilla or King Ghidorah's extraterrestrial origins. Prehistoric battles, flashbacks to the ancient war between Godzilla's and Kong's species, providing deeper lore. Crossover with other franchises. Pacific Rim crossover. Fans have long speculated about a crossover between the Monsterverse and the Pacific Rim universe, where Jaegers, giant robots, could team up with or battle Godzilla and Kong. The shared themes of kaiju battles make this a natural and exciting possibility. Marvel or DC crossovers. While less likely, crossovers with comic book universes, e.g., Hulk vs. Kong, Godzilla vs. Superman, have been explored in fan fiction and comic books. Given the popularity of multiverse storytelling, these ideas aren't entirely out of the question. Ultraman or Gamera. As a nod to classic Japanese kaiju franchises, future Monsterverse films could introduce characters like Ultraman or Gamera, potentially in collaboration with Toho Studios. Revisiting classic kaiju rivals. The Monsterverse could reintroduce or reinvent classic kaiju rivals for Godzilla and Kong, such as Destroyer, a powerful, fan-favorite kaiju connected to Godzilla's nuclear origins. Biollante, a plant-based monster that could reflect humanity's impact on ecosystems. Gigan or Hedorah, villains representing advanced alien threats or pollution. Cultural legacy, why the franchise endures. Timeless characters. King Kong and Godzilla embody universal ideas. Kong represents humanity's connection to nature, while Godzilla embodies nature's raw and uncontrollable power. These themes remain relevant, resonating across generations. Spectacle and emotion. From the primitive stop-motion of King Kong, 1933, to the CGI marvel of Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, the franchise has consistently delivered breathtaking visuals and emotional storytelling. Global fan base. The franchise enjoys a worldwide following, inspiring fan art, cosplay, fan theories, and online discussions that keep the mythology alive. Relevance in modern times. The franchise's themes of environmental destruction, technological arrogance, and humanity's relationship with nature make it a potent commentary on contemporary issues. Conclusion. The King Kong vs. Godzilla franchise has evolved into a cultural phenomenon, blending action, mythology, and social commentary. With ongoing merchandise, new spin-offs, and future crossovers on the horizon, the legacy of these iconic titans is far from over. Whether through epic battles or profound themes, King Kong and Godzilla continue to capture the imagination of audiences worldwide. The science behind King Kong and Godzilla. The larger-than-life personas of King Kong and Godzilla have fascinated audiences for decades, but their creation also raises many questions about biology, physics, and plausibility. Here's a look at the science behind the monsters, including their real-life inspirations, the feasibility of their traits, and the scientific inaccuracies in their depictions. 1. Real-life inspirations. King Kong. Gorillas and primates. King Kong is heavily inspired by real-life great apes, particularly gorillas. His movements, behaviors, and emotional range mirror those of real primates, albeit on a much larger scale. Early 20th century fascination with exotic animals and unexplored regions, e.g., Africa, Southeast Asia, inspired creators to imagine a giant ape living in an isolated, prehistoric ecosystem. Gigantopithecus. Kong's species may be partially inspired by Gigantopithecus, an extinct genus of giant ape that lived in Asia around 9 million to 100,000 years ago. Gigantopithecus is thought to have stood up to 10 feet tall and weighed over 1,000 pounds, making it the largest primate ever known. Darwinian evolution. The idea of Kong as a relic from a bygone age ties into early 20th century theories about living fossils or species that survived extinction due to isolation on remote islands, such as Skull Island. Godzilla. Dinosaurs. Godzilla's design draws heavily from dinosaurs, particularly theropods like Tyrannosaurus rex and Iguanodon. His upright posture and tail-dragging gait reflect outdated depictions of dinosaurs from the mid-20th century. Nuclear anxieties. Godzilla was conceived as a metaphor for nuclear destruction, particularly after the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the Lucky Dragon No. 5 incident, 1954, where a Japanese fishing vessel was contaminated by U.S. hydrogen bomb testing. His atomic breath represents humanity's destructive technological power turned against itself. Kaiju lore. Godzilla also draws from Japanese mythology, where giant creatures often symbolize natural disasters or divine retribution. His emergence from the sea reflects Japan's vulnerability to tsunamis and earthquakes. 2. Feasibility of their sizes and abilities. King Kong. Size and weight. In Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, Kong is approximately 337 feet tall and weighs thousands of tons. This size would pose significant biological challenges. Bone structure. Real-world animals of such size would require incredibly dense bones to support their weight. However, even with denser bones, the stress on his skeleton would likely be unsustainable. Muscle strength. Scaling laws dictate that muscle strength decreases as size increases. A creature of Kong's size would struggle to lift its own limbs, let alone fight a monster like Godzilla. Agility. Kong's speed and agility, including climbing buildings and leaping vast distances, are unrealistic for an animal of his mass. The energy required for such movements would be astronomically high, and his momentum would likely cause significant self-damage. Dietary requirements. To sustain his massive body, Kong would need to consume an enormous amount of calories daily, far more than any ecosystem on Skull Island or the Hollow Earth could reasonably provide. Godzilla. Size and weight. Godzilla's size varies between films but is typically around 350 feet tall and weighs tens of thousands of tons. A creature of this scale faces similar challenges to Kong. Bone density and muscle support. Godzilla's upright posture would require impossibly strong bones and muscles to counteract gravitational forces. Blood circulation. Pumping blood to a brain hundreds of feet above the heart would require either multiple hearts or a circulatory system far more efficient than any seen in nature. Atomic breath. Godzilla's atomic breath is a hallmark ability, but it defies the laws of physics. Generating a concentrated beam of energy would require internal temperatures far higher than any biological organism could withstand. The energy expelled would likely cause catastrophic damage to Godzilla's own body. Amphibious nature. Godzilla's ability to live both on land and underwater is highly implausible. His size and weight would make swimming inefficient, and breathing on land and underwater would require entirely different respiratory systems. 3. Scientific inaccuracies in their depiction. Scaling laws and square cube law. The square cube law states that as an object's size increases, its volume and weight grows faster than its surface area. This means that larger animals need disproportionately stronger support structures. Both Kong and Godzilla violate this principle. Their size would make their bones unable to support their weight. Heat regulation would become a massive issue, as larger bodies generate more heat but lose it more slowly due to reduced surface area relative to volume. Energy requirements. The sheer amount of energy needed to power these creatures' movements and abilities is implausible. Kong would need to consume vast quantities of food, while Godzilla's atomic breath would require an internal nuclear reactor, an impossibility for a biological organism. Biomechanics of combat. The fights between Kong and Godzilla are visually thrilling but biomechanically improbable. Kong's punches would likely break his own bones due to the forces involved. Godzilla's tail swipes and body slams would generate enough force to severely injure or kill himself, given the stresses on his skeleton and muscles. Ecosystem support. Skull Island and the Hollow Earth are portrayed as ecosystems capable of supporting massive creatures like Kong. In reality, such ecosystems would need to produce enough biomass to sustain multiple giant predators and herbivores, which is unlikely. The food chain would collapse under the weight of such massive energy requirements. Conclusion. While King Kong and Godzilla are firmly in the realm of fantasy, their designs and abilities draw inspiration from real-world animals, biology, and cultural anxieties. The scientific inaccuracies, such as violations of scaling laws, energy requirements, and ecosystem sustainability, are numerous, but they are necessary to create the thrilling, larger-than-life spectacle that defines these iconic monsters. Ultimately, the science behind King Kong and Godzilla serves more as an imaginative springboard than a strict rulebook, allowing filmmakers to craft awe-inspiring stories that resonate with audiences worldwide. The role of humans in the conflict. In Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, humans play a central role in the conflict between the two titans, serving as instigators, observers, and mediators. The involvement of humanity in the monster clash raises questions about ethics, motivations, and alliances. Here's an analysis of the human characters, their motivations, and the ethical considerations of their actions. 1. Key human characters and their motivations. Team Kong. Dr. Eileen Andrews, Rebecca Hall. A linguist and anthropologist who serves as Kong's primary caretaker. She views Kong as a sentient, empathetic being and advocates for his protection. Motivation. Eileen is dedicated to preserving Kong's safety and helping him find a new home in the Hollow Earth, where he can live without interference from humanity. Jo. Kaylee Hottle. A young, deaf orphan from Skull Island who communicates with Kong through sign language. She shares a deep emotional bond with him. Motivation. Jo acts as a bridge between humans and Kong, serving as his advocate and showing the audience that Kong has feelings and intelligence. Dr. Nathan Lind, Alexander Skarsgård. A geologist and Hollow Earth theorist recruited by Apex Cybernetics to guide Kong into the Hollow Earth. Motivation. Initially driven by his scientific curiosity and Apex's funding, Nathan comes to respect Kong and recognizes the ethical issues surrounding Apex's exploitation. Team Godzilla. Madison Russell, Millie Bobby Brown. Returning from Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Madison is a Godzilla advocate who believes his attacks on human facilities are justified. Motivation. Madison aims to uncover the truth behind Godzilla's seemingly unprovoked aggression, believing there's a reason for his actions. Josh Valentine, Julian Dennison. Madison's friend, who accompanies her on her quest to expose Apex Cybernetics. Motivation. Initially skeptical, Josh becomes involved out of loyalty to Madison and a desire to understand the truth. Bernie Hayes, Brian Tyree Henry. A conspiracy theorist and whistleblower who works as an Apex technician. He believes Apex is hiding dangerous secrets. Motivation. Bernie seeks to expose Apex's unethical experiments and protect humanity from their hubris. Apex Cybernetics. Walter Simmons, Damian Bitcher. CEO of Apex Cybernetics, Simmons is the film's primary human antagonist. Motivation. Driven by a desire to assert human dominance over the Titans, Simmons creates Mechagodzilla to replace Godzilla as the planet's apex predator. Ren Serizawa, Shun Oguri. Son of Dr. Ishii Serizawa from Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Ren operates Mechagodzilla. Motivation. Though his backstory is underdeveloped, Ren seems to support Apex's vision of technological supremacy over the Titans. 2. The ethics of intervening in the battle. Instigation of the conflict. Humanity's actions directly provoke the conflict between Godzilla and Kong. Apex Cybernetics manipulates Kong into leaving Skull Island and venturing into the Hollow Earth, exposing him to Godzilla's attention. Mechagodzilla's creation not only threatens Godzilla's dominance but also destabilizes the balance of nature, forcing both titans into action. Ethical questions raised. Should humans meddle with nature? Apex's creation of Mechagodzilla exemplifies humanity's arrogance in attempting to control forces beyond its understanding. The company's experiments with Hollow Earth energy and Keiju DNA reflect real-world debates about scientific overreach, e.g., genetic engineering, nuclear power. Is it right to exploit Kong? Kong is treated as both a weapon and a research subject, forced to venture into a dangerous environment for human purposes. Eileen and Jo's advocacy for Kong underscores the ethical dilemma of using sentient creatures for human gain. Collateral damage and responsibility. The battles between titans cause massive destruction in Hong Kong and other locations, raising questions about humanity's accountability. While Godzilla and Kong are forces of nature, human intervention often escalates their conflict, worsening the consequences. 3. Human alliances with the monsters. Human-Kong alliance. Bond with Jaw. Jaw's emotional connection to Kong humanizes him, portraying him as a misunderstood protector rather than a destructive force. Her ability to communicate with Kong allows humans to guide his actions without exploiting him. This alliance showcases the potential for coexistence between humanity and nature when built on mutual respect. Protecting Kong's legacy. Team Kong's mission to relocate him to the Hollow Earth symbolizes humanity's attempt to preserve nature rather than dominate it. Human-Godzilla alliance. Unlike Kong, Godzilla does not form direct bonds with humans. However, Madison Russell and her team act as his advocates, working to uncover the truth behind his actions and prevent humanity from demonizing him. Godzilla's role as a force of balance shows that humans do not need to control him, they only need to understand and respect his place in the natural order. Against Mechagodzilla. The climactic battle between Kong, Godzilla, and Mechagodzilla highlights humanity's ultimate role as facilitators rather than rulers. Humans enable Kong to wield his battle axe by using Godzilla's atomic breath to charge it, creating a moment of unity between the Titans and humanity. This collaboration underscores the theme that harmony between humans and nature is necessary to overcome humanity's own hubris, symbolized by Mechagodzilla. Conclusion. Humans play a multifaceted role in Godzilla vs. Kong, acting as instigators, advocates, and mediators in the conflict between the Titans. Their actions raise important ethical questions about scientific overreach, exploitation of nature, and accountability for the consequences of their interventions. Ultimately, the film's resolution suggests that humanity's proper role is not to dominate nature but to coexist with and respect it, working in harmony with the forces it can neither fully control nor understand. Comparisons to other monster battles. The battle between King Kong and Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, is unique in several ways when compared to other kaiju, giant monster, battles, both within the monsterverse and across other cinematic universes. Let's explore how it differs from other iconic kaiju fights, its connections to other monster universes, and the general reception of monster clashes. 1. How King Kong vs. Godzilla differs from other kaiju fights. Focus on character versus destruction. Characterization. In Godzilla vs. Kong, the Titans are given significant emotional depth and distinct personalities. King Kong is portrayed as an intelligent, emotional being with human-like traits, while Godzilla represents the raw, primal force of nature. Their motivations for fighting aren't purely about mindless destruction, there's an emotional and ideological basis for their conflict. Comparison. In classic kaiju films, e.g., Godzilla 1954, Godzilla, King of the Monsters 2019, the focus is often more on the destructive spectacle, with less emphasis on character development for the monsters themselves. The battle between Godzilla and other kaiju, like Ghidorah or Mothra, is usually framed as a conflict between forces of nature rather than a personal rivalry. Human involvement and ethical themes. The humans in Godzilla vs. Kong play a significant role, not only as bystanders or fighters but as advocates and protectors of the Titans. The themes of environmentalism, technological overreach, and humanity's relationship with nature are explored in depth, which makes this film stand out among other monster clashes. In many earlier kaiju movies, especially those from Toho Studios, humans are often portrayed as helpless or as the instigators of monster chaos, with little exploration of the ethical implications of their actions. Iconic crossovers versus solo films. King Kong vs. Godzilla was one of the earliest high-profile crossovers in monster cinema, 1962. The spectacle of pitting two iconic creatures against each other was a novelty at the time. In contrast, many monster movies, including later kaiju films, focus on one central monster, e.g., Godzilla 2014, Kong, Skull Island 2017, with smaller conflicts between other kaiju. The crossover aspect of Godzilla vs. Kong adds an extra layer of anticipation and excitement, with fans rooting for their favorite monster. 2. Connections to other monster cinematic universes. The Monsterverse. The 2014 reboot of Godzilla and Kong, Skull Island, 2017, laid the foundation for the Monsterverse, the shared universe where Godzilla vs. Kong takes place. The films within this universe all explore the idea of ancient, colossal creatures, kaiju, coexisting with humanity, but each film brings a unique perspective. Godzilla, 2014, focused on Godzilla's emergence as a force of balance and the destruction caused by unchecked nuclear power. Kong, Skull Island, 2017, introduced Kong as a protector of his environment, with a more adventure-driven narrative set in a specific era, 1970s. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, 2019, expanded the universe by introducing a host of new kaiju, including King Ghidorah, Mothra, and Rodan, elevating Godzilla to the status of King of the Monsters. Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, culminates in the ultimate clash, bringing these two legendary titans together while exploring the relationship between humans and the creatures. Cinematic influence on other universes. The success of the Monsterverse has inspired other monster film universes, such as Pacific Rim, and potential future crossovers with other franchises, e.g., Pacific Rim vs. Godzilla or King Kong vs. Pacific Rim, pushing the boundaries of the shared universe concept in kaiju cinema. Godzilla and other film universes. Godzilla has crossed paths with other monsters outside of the Monsterverse. In Godzilla, Final Wars, 2004, Godzilla faces off against multiple classic kaiju, including King Ghidorah, Mothra, and even the Gigan from earlier films. Crossovers with other studios. The Toho Godzilla films have also seen Godzilla battle other iconic movie monsters like King Kong, in the original 1962 King Kong vs. Godzilla, and Mechagodzilla has been a recurring antagonist in the Godzilla universe since 1974. Godzilla also made appearances in comic book crossovers with Marvel and DC, where he fought characters like the Avengers and Superman, though those encounters were often more about spectacle than thematic exploration. King Kong's legacy outside the Monsterverse. King Kong has been part of various cinematic universes beyond Godzilla vs. Kong. In addition to the original 1933 film and its sequels, Kong's story has been reimagined several times, e.g., Kong, Skull Island 2017, Kong, the animated series. Kong's legacy has influenced many modern monster films and media, with various films and cartoons borrowing elements of the giant ape's character. 3. Audience reception of monster clashes in general. General appeal of monster movies. Monster battles, especially those involving massive, larger-than-life creatures, have long been a staple of cinema because they appeal to both the primal instinct of spectacle and the human fascination with nature's immense power. These films often explore themes of survival, environmentalism, and humanity's role in the ecosystem. Audience nostalgia. Fans of kaiju films often have strong nostalgic attachments to the classic Godzilla and King Kong movies, and these films' visual effects and destruction resonate with audiences who enjoy the tension between man-made versus natural disasters. Global appeal. While the popularity of monster movies originated in Japan, with Godzilla, and the US, with King Kong, both franchises have achieved global appeal. The idea of larger-than-life creatures wreaking havoc is universally engaging, transcending cultural barriers. Reception of Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021. Positive reception. Godzilla vs. Kong received largely positive reviews from audiences, especially those seeking a satisfying spectacle with visually stunning battle sequences. The film was praised for its breathtaking visual effects, thrilling action scenes, and emotional stakes involving Kong's character. Fans enjoyed the epic scale of the battle, with the urban destruction in Hong Kong being a particularly memorable sequence. Criticism. Some critics noted that the human subplot was less compelling than the monster battles, and certain characters lacked depth. However, most fans understood that the primary focus was the epic clash between the two titans, and the human characters served to provide context and connection to the monsters. Comparison to other monster movies. When compared to other iconic monster fights, such as Pacific Rim, 2013, or Kong vs. Godzilla, 1962, Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, stands out for its modern visual effects, bringing the larger-than-life spectacle of kaiju battles to a new generation. However, classic monster movies, such as the original King Kong, 1933, and Godzilla, 1954, offered more grounded narratives with more serious, philosophical themes. In contrast, Pacific Rim, 2013, has been viewed as more of a love letter to Kaiju cinema, with its robots, Jaegers, facing off against massive monsters in a futuristic, post-apocalyptic setting. Fans often debate whether the human-driven storyline in Pacific Rim is more emotionally resonant compared to the largely spectacle-driven approach of Godzilla vs. Kong. Conclusion. Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, represents a new chapter in the long history of monster clashes, distinct for its emotional depth, exploration of environmental and ethical themes, and the monumental crossover of two legendary titans. The film's connection to the broader monsterverse and other Kaiju universes enriches the narrative, offering audiences not only a thrilling spectacle but also a deeper look at humanity's relationship with nature. While the film continues a long tradition of giant monster battles, it also stands apart for its modern technological advancements and the shifting role of human characters in the conflict. The clash of these iconic monsters resonates with fans of all generations, drawing on nostalgia while pushing the boundaries of what a monster movie can achieve. Global reception and cultural impact of Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021. The release of Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, generated worldwide excitement, drawing attention not only for its action-packed battles but also for its cultural significance. Here's a breakdown of how the film was received in different countries, the criticism and praise it garnered, and how it reflects cultural values. 1. Reception in different countries. United States. Box office success. In the US, Godzilla vs. Kong was released theatrically in March 2021, during a time when the COVID-19 pandemic was still ongoing. Despite limited theater capacity and streaming options on HBO Max, the film had a strong box office performance, grossing over $460 million worldwide. This marked a significant milestone for the global cinema industry, especially as it was one of the first major blockbuster releases during the pandemic. Fan enthusiasm. The American audience largely embraced the spectacle of the film. Fans of both Godzilla and King Kong were eager to see the two titans clash, and the fight scenes were praised for their visual effects and thrilling choreography. However, some critics noted that the human plotlines felt secondary to the monster battles, which was a common critique of earlier Kaiju films as well. Japan. Nostalgia for Godzilla. In Japan, where Godzilla has been a national icon since 1954, the reception was mixed. While Godzilla fans appreciated the return of their beloved Kaiju, some expressed concern that the movie, particularly Godzilla's portrayal as an aggressive and less sympathetic figure, might not do justice to the legacy of the character. Cultural sensitivity. Some viewers were also critical of the film's American-centric narrative, where Godzilla is portrayed more as a destructive force than the defender of balance seen in earlier Japanese films. However, Japan still celebrated the monster versus monster spectacle, with the film's success in Japanese theaters reaffirming Godzilla's global popularity. China. Box office success. Godzilla vs. Kong performed exceptionally well in China, becoming one of the highest-grossing foreign films in the country. The global appeal of the giant monster battles resonated deeply with Chinese audiences, who have long had a fascination with Kaiju films, including the Godzilla franchise. Action and spectacle. Chinese audiences were particularly drawn to the film's stunning visuals, action-packed sequences, and the cultural prominence of both King Kong and Godzilla in the global film landscape. The visual effects were highly praised for their immersive quality, particularly the vibrant destruction in Hong Kong. Other countries, Mexico, Brazil, UK, etc. Latin America and Europe. In countries like Mexico and Brazil, Godzilla vs. Kong garnered significant attention, with both monsters being widely recognized and beloved from past films. The film was embraced for its ability to transcend cultural boundaries and deliver pure entertainment, even in countries where the monsters had been relegated to pop culture status in the past few decades. In the UK, the film performed well at the box office, though the reception was more muted in comparison to the US and China. Many British audiences appreciated the spectacle and action but found the storyline predictable, as is often the case in blockbuster films with minimal character development. 2. Criticism and praise for the movie. Praise. Visual effects and action sequences. One of the most praised aspects of Godzilla vs. Kong was the breathtaking visual effects. The fight scenes, particularly the two major battles between Godzilla and Kong, the Ocean Battle and the Hong Kong Showdown, were lauded for their scale, detail, and choreography. The CGI was cutting-edge, and the monsters' designs were praised for being both faithful to their classic depictions and modernized with new visual techniques. The neon-lit destruction in Hong Kong, combined with the energy and power of both creatures, created one of the most visually striking sequences in Kaiju film history. Emotional core with Kong. Kong's emotional journey, especially his relationship with Jo, the young girl who communicates with him through sign language, was widely praised for adding heart and depth to the film. His vulnerability and personal connection to the humans made him a more relatable character. Kong's role as an empathetic figure, contrasted with Godzilla's more primal force, provided an emotional anchor for the movie. Pacing and spectacle. The movie was often praised for its pacing. It didn't waste time, quickly diving into the monster battles, which was welcomed by many fans. The movie delivers on its promise of spectacle, offering audiences what they came for: giant monsters clashing in dramatic, action-packed sequences. Criticism. Thin human storylines. One of the most common critiques of Godzilla vs. Kong was the underdeveloped human characters and their plotlines. While Kong and Godzilla were given significant screen time and emotional depth, the human characters often felt secondary or overly cliché. Critics noted that, in a film so focused on its monster stars, the human plots became formulaic, with conspiracy theories, corporate villainy, and predictable arcs that took away from the core conflict between the monsters. Plot and dialogue. Some critics felt that the plot was overly simplistic and the dialogue flat, focusing more on setting up the next fight scene than offering substantial character development or narrative complexity. The film's reliance on spectacle over substance divided some viewers. Godzilla's characterization. Some longtime Godzilla fans were disappointed by his portrayal in the film. While Godzilla was traditionally a defender of Earth, albeit through violent means, this iteration of Godzilla is portrayed as more of an unpredictable force of nature, which some felt was inconsistent with his past character development. 3. How the movie reflects cultural values. Nature versus technology. A recurring theme in the Godzilla and King Kong franchises is the relationship between humanity and nature. Godzilla vs. Kong continues this exploration, particularly through Apex Cybernetics' creation of Mechagodzilla. The film presents technology as a double-edged sword. While it can serve humanity's needs, it can also spiral out of control, turning against its creators. The rise of Mechagodzilla is a reflection of the fear of technological overreach, a common theme in modern science fiction and global culture, particularly given the rapid development of artificial intelligence and robotics. This mirrors real-world concerns about the dangers of unchecked scientific progress. Coexistence and respect for the natural world. The film ultimately presents a message about the importance of respecting the natural world, represented by Kong and Godzilla. Kong's return to the Hollow Earth at the end symbolizes the idea that some forces are best left undisturbed, echoing contemporary concerns about conservation and humanity's relationship with the planet. The contrast between Kong and Godzilla reflects differing approaches to nature. Kong, as a protector and ruler of his domain, is presented as more sympathetic, while Godzilla's more destructive presence raises questions about the balance between nature's forces and humanity's need for control. Cultural identity and nationalism. The film's portrayal of Godzilla as a force of nature battling against human intervention resonates with cultural fears about the impact of global powers, such as Japan's nuclear legacy, on the environment. Godzilla's representation can be seen as a metaphor for national trauma and the complexities of national identity, especially in relation to the destructive power of technology. Kong's character, often portrayed as more sympathetic and relatable, contrasts with Godzilla's less human-like nature, offering a different cultural perspective on power and understanding. Conclusion. Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, garnered positive global reception, especially for its visual spectacle and the emotional connection audiences felt to Kong. While the film was criticized for its thin human plotlines and simplistic narrative, it succeeded in delivering an exciting, action-packed experience that appealed to both longtime fans and newcomers. The movie reflects cultural values surrounding the dangers of unchecked technological progress, the importance of respecting nature, and the enduring global appeal of these iconic monsters. As a crossover event, it unites fans of both King Kong and Godzilla, continuing the legacy of these legendary creatures while bringing them into the modern era. King Kong and Godzilla's place in modern media. King Kong and Godzilla have maintained their status as iconic pop culture figures for decades. In today's media landscape, both monsters continue to evolve, adapting to modern storytelling and entertainment formats. Here's a look at their appearances in video games and comics, crossovers with other franchises, and their relevance in contemporary media. 1. Appearances in video games and comics. Video games. Both King Kong and Godzilla have been featured prominently in video games, often allowing players to control the titans in epic battles or engage in city-destroying rampages. Godzilla in video games. Godzilla, Destroy All Monsters Melee, 2002, a classic multiplayer fighting game featuring a roster of iconic monsters from the Godzilla universe, including King Ghidorah, Mothra, and of course, Godzilla. The game allows players to destroy cities and face off against other kaiju in thrilling combat. Godzilla, the game, 2014, released as a tie-in to the 2014 Godzilla movie, this game lets players control Godzilla as he battles against other monsters in destructible environments. It captures the essence of the franchise, with massive battles and chaotic city destruction. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, 2019, a mobile game that lets players engage in kaiju battles, upgrading monsters, and battling other players' creatures. It's a more strategic game that adds RPG elements to the kaiju genre. King Kong in video games. Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie, 2005, a first-person action-adventure game that ties into Peter Jackson's 2005 King Kong film. Players can control both Kong and a human character, Jack Driscoll, as they navigate Skull Island and fight off terrifying creatures. The game is notable for its immersive world-building and action-packed gameplay. King Kong, the video game, various versions, similar to the 2005 game, there have been several titles that allow players to experience the adventures of Kong on Skull Island, fighting giant insects, dinosaurs, and other threats in the environment. Godzilla vs. Kong, video games. Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, the movie's release spurred the creation of several mobile and console games, such as a King Kong vs. Godzilla brawler, where players can directly control the two titans, engaging in massive battles against each other or other monsters. Many video games feature either Godzilla or Kong as playable characters or bosses, capitalizing on their iconic status. Comics. Both Kong and Godzilla have had extensive runs in comics, expanding their stories beyond the big screen. Godzilla in comics. Marvel Comics. Godzilla made appearances in the Marvel Comics universe in the 1970s, where he clashed with various Marvel superheroes, including the Avengers and Spider-Man. These comics explored Godzilla's role as a force of nature, often introducing him as an enemy for the human protagonists to stop. IDW Publishing. In the 2000s, IDW Publishing took the reins with a more modern and gritty portrayal of Godzilla in comic form. This included the Godzilla, Kingdom of Monsters series and various crossovers with other kaiju. The Godzilla comics explore themes of survival, humanity's interaction with the Titans, and the ecological consequences of kaiju destruction. Godzilla vs. King Kong. In comic book adaptations, such as Godzilla vs. Kong, published by various publishers over the years, both monsters have clashed in epic battles. These comics tend to emphasize the physical and ideological rivalry between the two legendary creatures. King Kong in comics. Dark Horse Comics. Dark Horse Comics has produced several Kong stories, including Kong, King of Skull Island, 2004, which is a prequel to the original 1933 movie. It delves into Kong's origins, Skull Island's mythology, and Kong's place within the broader ecosystem of Titans. DC Comics. King Kong has also made appearances in DC Comics, such as in Superman vs. King Kong, 1975, where Kong battles the iconic superhero in a classic showdown. While not as extensive as Godzilla's comic appearances, King Kong has had sporadic crossovers with other comic characters, emphasizing his role as a larger-than-life creature capable of crossing into different fictional universes. 2. Crossovers with other franchises. Both King Kong and Godzilla have crossed over with various other franchises, creating massive crossover events that excite fans of both legacy characters and new audiences. Godzilla crossovers. Pacific Rim. One of the most exciting and widely discussed crossovers among Kaiju fans is the potential for a Pacific Rim and Godzilla crossover. Both franchises feature giant monsters, Kaiju, and the idea of combining the massive mechanical Jaegers from Pacific Rim with Godzilla and other Kaiju has sparked speculation. While there hasn't been a full crossover film yet, the potential for this collaboration has been teased in fan discussions and through limited comics. Marvel and DC. As mentioned, Godzilla has fought superheroes in Marvel Comics and DC Comics, with notable appearances in Marvel's Avengers and Superman vs. Godzilla. These crossovers add an element of superhero drama to the Kaiju world, blending different types of action and spectacle. King Kong crossovers. King Kong vs. Godzilla, 1962. The most famous crossover involving King Kong remains the 1962 film where King Kong faced off against Godzilla in a battle for supremacy. This marked the first time the two iconic monsters appeared together in cinema. King Kong in other universes. Over the years, Kong has also crossed over into other forms of media. For instance, there have been references to Kong in popular animated shows, including The Simpsons and Family Guy, where he occasionally makes cameo appearances or is involved in parodic battles with other popular characters. The future of crossovers. Following Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, the door remains open for future crossovers with other franchises. There is ongoing speculation about possible interactions between Godzilla vs. Kong and the Pacific Rim universe, especially after the growing popularity of both franchises. The MonsterVerse could see more expansive crossovers with other legendary creatures, including new Kaiju or even alien invasions that could bring additional characters into the fold. 3. Relevance of the characters in today's media landscape. King Kong and Godzilla remain relevant in today's media for several reasons. Nostalgia and legacy. Both monsters have built legacies over several decades, with Godzilla dating back to 1954 and King Kong first appearing in 1933. These long-standing characters have become part of the global cultural fabric, with new generations discovering them through films, merchandise, and modern adaptations. The MonsterVerse has reinvigorated both characters for modern audiences, maintaining their relevance through a series of interconnected films that balance nostalgia with modern storytelling and special effects. Themes of environmentalism and technology. The films featuring Godzilla and Kong continue to explore themes relevant to today's world, particularly the balance between nature and technology. Godzilla, as a destructive force of nature, reflects humanity's fears about the consequences of nuclear technology and environmental destruction. Kong represents a more sympathetic, relatable side of nature, reflecting concerns about the exploitation and destruction of natural habitats and ecosystems, especially in modern contexts like deforestation, climate change, and the destruction of wildlife. These themes resonate with global audiences who are increasingly concerned about environmental issues and the impact of unchecked technological progress. Cultural impact and adaptability. Both Kong and Godzilla have transcended their original roles as monsters and have become symbols of different aspects of modern media. They are flexible enough to be adapted into different genres, from action-packed blockbusters to animated series and even parody in TV shows. The ongoing success of crossover events, video games, comics, and merchandise shows that the monsters continue to resonate across diverse platforms, reaching beyond traditional moviegoers to gamers, comic readers, and fans of all kinds of media. Conclusion. King Kong and Godzilla have cemented their place in modern media as enduring symbols of spectacle, storytelling, and cultural significance. Their appearances in video games, comics, and crossovers with other franchises continue to attract diverse audiences, while their legacy remains relevant due to their universal themes of nature, technology, and environmentalism. As the MonsterVerse expands and new stories are told, these iconic characters will likely remain central figures in global pop culture, continuing to evolve and adapt to new generations of fans. Conclusion. King Kong and Godzilla are two of the most iconic cinematic figures, whose adventures and battles have remained a vital part of popular culture for over 80 years. Their role in cinema, video games, comics, and numerous crossovers not only defines the modern understanding of the kaiju, giant monster, genre but also reflects key societal, ecological, and philosophical questions. Mythology and symbolism. The characters of King Kong and Godzilla are not merely monstrous figures, they are symbolic of larger issues and concepts. Godzilla represents the destructive power of nature and the consequences of human technological overreach, particularly in terms of nuclear devastation. On the other hand, King Kong embodies the tragic beauty of nature, symbolizing humanity's struggle with the wild and uncontrollable forces of the world. Their stories explore deep themes of survival, balance, and humanity's interference with nature, issues that remain highly relevant in today's world. Evolution in modern media. Both Kong and Godzilla have undergone significant evolution to remain relevant in modern media. Through the MonsterVerse films, they have been reintroduced to new generations with enhanced visual effects and more nuanced storylines. The focus on emotional depth, particularly with Kong's bond to Jio and Godzilla's role as a natural force of balance, adds a level of complexity that appeals to contemporary audiences. These films have successfully combined nostalgia with modern-day concerns, creating an enduring appeal for both longtime fans and new viewers alike. Crossovers and expanding universes. The crossover between Godzilla and King Kong in Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021, symbolizes a modern celebration of these two legends coming together. The ongoing expansion of the MonsterVerse and other potential crossovers with franchises like Pacific Rim show that there's still room for new stories that involve these beloved characters. The increasing trend of shared cinematic universes demonstrates the continued fascination with large-scale, high-concept battles that explore the clash between humanity, technology, and nature. Cultural relevance and impact. Godzilla and Kong's ability to transcend national borders, appearing in various forms of media across the globe, showcases their universal appeal. From Japan's deeply rooted Godzilla films to the global fascination with Kong as a tragic hero, both monsters serve as reflections of cultural fears, aspirations, and the changing relationship between humankind and the environment. The ongoing themes of environmentalism, technological consequences, and the need for balance resonate strongly in today's media landscape, making both characters continually relevant in contemporary discussions. Conclusion of their legacy. In conclusion, King Kong and Godzilla's legacies are far from over. Their presence in film, television, video games, comics, and potential future crossovers ensures that these iconic characters will remain in the public consciousness for years to come. By adapting to new forms of media, these monsters continue to reflect the issues and concerns of their time, providing both spectacle and deeper reflection on humanity's role in the world. Whether clashing on the big screen, being reimagined in new formats, or appearing in cultural references, King Kong and Godzilla remain central figures in the conversation about the intersection of nature, humanity, and the unknown forces that shape our world.